As children, one of the core lessons we are taught is to forgive and forget, to be courteous to those who have wronged us and allow them to begin anew, to let the agony of every tragedy fade, as it should. But there are actions so vile and men so rotten that their actions will never fade away. No matter what, they will always come back. Springtrap, Five Nights at Freddy's man behind the slaughter. In this video, I'll be breaking down exactly how powerful Mr. Afton is, and I'll be using a soft composite. If you don't know what that means, basically any version of William that is similar enough to the main game's version will be included, so stuff like books and movies. No out-of-this FNAF world metas though. Also, given a lot of information we think we know about FNAF is theoretical, I'll be as gracious as possible to Afton throughout, within reason. If something seems off, I'll follow it up with either a verbal or on-screen explanation. So, with that out of the way, let's get right into it.
Get out of your uniform and get ready for action.
Let's start with speed, as it by far has the least amount of stuff to go over. To start, Springtrap is able to do the generic slasher teleport, as well as some other animatronics like Chica. While this is important to mention, it's not really scalable. For more concrete stuff, we can look at Dead by Daylight, where Springtrap is able to outrun professional sprinters and other peak human level characters, which would put him around peak human to superhuman levels of speed. And while this may be the only speed feat Afton has displayed himself, we can scale him to other animatronics, such as Foxy, who, in the FNAF movie, was able to charge down a hallway at about 25 meters per second, or 56 miles an hour. If you think this sounds a little high, this is actually backed up in the Week Before novel, where the protagonist Ralph, better known as Phone Guy, actually believes that Foxy could catch up to him in his car. Other animatronics are also capable of similar feats of blitzing humans, and moving in a blur, so scaling Springtrap to this isn't ridiculous. So, Springtrap should be moving at around superhuman levels of speed. Next, onto strength. Starting small, Springtrap and other animatronics have consistently shown the ability to overpower and carry average humans. In the FNAF movie, he's able to kick around grown men like they're nothing, and he's able to critically injure them in as little as 2 attacks in Dead by Daylight. He's also able to break pallets and walls, putting him at around wall level, and, once again, this is only for his own feats. We can still compare him to other animatronics. Like Freddy, who's able to bisect someone in a single bite, Mangle can smash apart a wooden cotton candy stand in a single step, and the Mimic can crush an iron bar. Best of all of these feats, however, comes from the Twisted ones. In the finale of the graphic novel, Twisted Freddy is able to smash through a wall. Given the violent fragmentation of it and Twisted Freddy's height, this should actually come around to small building level. That's already pretty good, but Afton should upscale this too, as soon after, the Twisted ones are pretty easily dispatched by the OG4, which Afton should be similar to, if not scale above. So, that's wall to small building level for Afton, with potentially even higher via upscaling. Next, I'll cover intelligence and equipment. I'm grouping these two together since there isn't much to talk about with either. For intelligence, Afton is at least a genius level robotics expert and inventor, being able to build things that are far more advanced than anything else at the time. While there is some debate over what Afton himself created, we know for a fact he invented the fun times, animatronics with proximity sensors, collision detectors, voice recording, voice activation, and voice mimicking technology. He's also pretty cunning, being able to outsmart the animatronics at almost every step, and knowing Henry's plan of FNAF 6 was a trap before he even stepped foot in the building. Given this, he should be comparable to Henry in intelligence, who was able to build multiple hyper-realistic android copies of his daughter, advanced enough to bleed realistically. His intelligence also shines through with his equipment, such as his sound illusion discs. These small chips produce a usually inaudible high-pitched whine that allows the user to completely warp what the victim can see, seemingly only limited by the user's imagination. For some reason, these discs' effects also work on robots. While these discs do have a range and can be destroyed if located, he also has nightmare gas which achieves a similar effect. Another piece of equipment is a syringe full of remnant, which I'll get into more in the abilities section. The final part of Afton's equipment should be his army, and while this definitely isn't standard for him, you could definitely grant them to him depending on the matchup you're putting him in. His army should include the aforementioned Twisted ones, as he created them and can command them in the book of the same name. The Funtime animatronics should also be included in his army for similar reasons. A more debatable part of his army is the OG4 animatronics and Golden Freddy. While you could argue that they shouldn't be included due to them turning on Afton in both the endings of Silver Eyes and the FNAF movie, this only occurred due to the outside influence of both Charlie and Co. and Michael. In both instances, they seemingly trusted William for a lot longer than they didn't, so I don't see the problem with them being granted to him. So, with equipment, Afton has multiple ways to distort the vision of his victims, and a large army that should scale around the same level as him. For the final section of this video, I'll cover Afton's abilities. This is going to be the longest part of the video by far, due to the amount of abilities and the explanations they require. First, I'll start with an explanation of the FNAF power system. There are two main concepts that explain all of the supernatural goings on in FNAF: Remnant and Agony. To keep it simple, Remnant is essentially a person's soul actualized. It is usually portrayed as liquid metal, but a purer form looks more like white glistening energy. William Afton believes it to be the key to immortality, which is seemingly his ultimate goal. It is the main cause of all the possessions throughout the FNAF series. Agony is somewhat similar. In FNAF, emotions grant power, and the most powerful of all these emotions is agony, and when objects are around a lot of agony, they can appear haunted, despite not actually being possessed. Despite not being possessed, agony can seemingly carry consciousness, as shown by the Stitch Wraith having Jake's, Andrew's, and Afton's soul inside it. Agony can latch onto anything, but for it to appear haunted, it must contain an intelligence, even an artificial one. While Remnant and Agony have been shown to do a lot throughout the franchise, I'll start with the powers Willie himself has shown. Springtrap's mere presence seems to make technology malfunction in a number of ways, either temporarily shutting it off or causing it to malfunction. Golden Freddy can also talk through devices and completely brick them, which Willie should also be able to do. Being around Springtrap also causes intense hallucinations to all 5 of your senses. In the games, these are shown via the Phantom animatronics, which can also passively interfere with tech, but in the story, what we found, Afton shows a much stronger version of this ability. In this story, being around Springtrap gives the protagonist, Hudson, hallucinations of his own traumatic memories, being able to speak to him in his own head via the voices of his abusers. The strength of these hallucinations is to the point where Hudson himself is completely unsure of what is real and fake. Damage from these hallucinations also seems to carry over to the real world, seemingly via the victim doing it to themselves. These hallucinations eventually drive Hudson to the point of complete insanity, making him believe that locking himself inside a pizza oven is a good idea, which burns him alive. All of this was simply caused by being in the same building as Springtrap. He didn't even have to move. Another thing he's very good at is always coming back. It's kind of his whole thing. In The Man in Room 1280, Andrew, a soul that had possessed William's currently defenseless corpse, caused it to spew out all of his and William's agony and remnant over a Fazbear distribution center that they were in, which made Andrew believe that William had died. William had not. What Andrew did, which William should be able to replicate, actually caused William to possess everything within the Fazbear distribution center, setting the vast majority of the stories within the Fazbear Frights book series in motion. Andrew's soul ended up in a robotic dog called Fetch, that within a story of the same name was completely destroyed with a baseball bat, but was up and running like normal not long after. Eventually, the battery of Fetch would be used to power an endoskeleton called the Stitch Wraith, composed of Andrew and another soul named Jake. While the Stitch Wraith wasn't a malevolent entity, it actually set out to collect the agony-infused objects, so they couldn't hurt anyone. Due to the amount of agony Andrew had, whenever the Stitch Wraith touched someone, they would immediately die. Andrew was described as having the most powerful agony, but, as it turns out, that wasn't because of Andrew at all. It was William. William had managed to hitchhike on Andrew's soul, corrupting him with his rage, and once all of the agony-infused parts were collected, Afton made his move. He fused with all of the parts, creating a 15-foot monster named the Agony, although, for clarity's sake, I'll be referring to it by its other name, Afton's Amalgamation. Afton's Amalgamation gives Afton a huge strength boost, being able to smash through metal walls like nothing. It can also absorb any kind of metal into itself, Magneto style. But perhaps its most dangerous power is its ability to infect you with its own agony. A detective on the scene was slashed by the Afton Amalgamation, causing a slow corruption of his entire body, likely ending in either death or full possession by Afton. The way Afton's Amalgamation was defeated is by the Puppet, who was brought onto the scene by the same detective and was forced inside the Amalgamation. It counteracted all of Afton's agony with positive energy. While admittedly, Afton did go down pretty easy, it was stated multiple times that Afton accomplished all of this while extremely weakened. A full power Afton would definitely be able to put up more of a fight, especially considering souls can't fight each other while in the same body, and Afton was previously able to stop Andrew's soul from moving on and leaving the Stitch Wraith. While that does it for Springtrap's feats, there are a few more forms of Afton we have to discuss, that being Glitch Trap and Burn Trap. While there is some debate whether these are even Afton, as someone who believes glitch both, I see them as totally fair game. I'm not here to convince you, but there are multiple videos on the topic, so you can check those out when you're done here. Glitch Trap doesn't give Afton too much, but he can possess people who put on a possessed VR headset. He also can manipulate computer code, creating entirely new environments, and hacking of course. Burn Trap doesn't really do much, but he does buff Afton's tech control. He was able to take control of Glamrock Freddy when he was completely disconnected from the Pizzaplex's systems, simply by placing his hand on a monitor he appeared on. Burntrap would also grant Vanny to his army, but she doesn't really do much. Next, I'll list the things other strong Remnant and Agony users or phenomena can do. Given Afton's knowledge and mastery over Remnant and Agony, he should be able to replicate most, if not all, of its shown abilities if he put his mind to it, especially considering a lot of Agony phenomena is because of William. Starting with the Stitch Wraith, it can kill people with only a touch, as mentioned. Jake and Andrew can also fight over the control of the body that they share, meaning that Afton should be able to fully possess people if they lack a proper soul defense. Speaking of possession, Jake, who died completely peacefully, was able to fully possess a doll simply by dying near it. Jake was also able to sense people watching him and completely reform the Stitch Wraith endoskeleton after it was crushed in a trash compactor. Another character from the books, Eleanor, can knock people out simply by looking at them and send them into a memory world built from Agony. While in this memory world, her body can spew out black tentacles that, if touched, will pull other people into the world. In other stories, small amounts of Remnant have shown the ability to heal people, revive the dead, and even keep a person alive when they completely lack any human parts. Consuming, or injecting Remnant, also allows you to communicate with the dead. Agony has shown many more abilities, such as giving people hallucinations, fear inducement, cursing people with specific fates, nightmare inducement, fusing with people, complete mind and body control, a pedant stare-like effect, extreme pain inducement, and even full transmogrification. Even with these stronger effects, the Agony doesn't even have to touch you. Being around it is enough. And that should about do it. So, in conclusion, Afton should be around small building level with superhuman speeds, with a laundry list of abilities and hacks that can help him compete with stronger and faster characters. It's my first time doing a solo scaling video, so any suggestions and feedback in the comments is appreciated. And one last thing, a friend of mine suggested that I do a follow-up to this video explaining how Springtrap beats his big 3 opponents. Would that be something you guys would want to see? Leave it down below. Remember to like, subscribe, hype the video if you're on mobile, and thanks for watching.